everybody. It is Dean Z. I am speaking to you from room 120 in Hutchins Hall at the University of Michigan Law School. I have no idea. I'm sure I took classes in this room, but I have no recollection of what they may have been. And that brings me to my first message for you today. It is this. You may have heard this. I am going to retire. We have posted the job for my position. We will be hiring someone for the position this summer, and that person will start in September, and I will overlap with that person and give them the benefit of all my opinions, which obviously everybody's excited to hear over the course of that first year that they're working here, and then I will ride off into the sunset at some point about a year from now, because I'm old, right? And that's why I forget whether or not I had classes in this room. It's been a lot of years. What am I doing in my retirement? Please don't ask me that. Thank you. Okay. But before that happens, I am teaming up with my good pal Dustin Johnston once again to do videos, and we're going to try and do as many as we can this summer to get you guys all situated for the application season to come. Along those lines, I will note that I expect it to be another competitive season. Now, I'm recording this in May, so how the hell do I know what's going to be happening in September? I don't really, but I do have two bits of data that are important. One is what happened with the April LSAT score, LSAT sitting, and I will note that it was flat with last year, which was a very large year, so that suggests this year's volume will be similar to last year's volume. April's very much of a precursor of the year to come. There were many more. It had a very high registration volume for April, and then many people ended up canceling their scores. They're ambitious. They're going again. June is my other data point. There are tons of people. The registrations for June are very elevated over last year. I don't think they'll stay that way. I think, as with April, that they'll all come back down to earth. But I do think that it will be similar to this season that we just basically finished. I mean, I'm still doing stuff, but it's basically wrapped up. And so you're going to want a competitive edge. So I'm going to give you all the advice I can think to give you to, have you put together the best possible application that you can. To that point, I want to make a sort of overarching observation about what I'm doing here. All law school admissions are holistic. Some are more holistic than others. Schools that have 9,000 applications or more, like Michigan, we are making lots of really hard decisions, and we are taking many, many, many factors into account. Some schools will be, less competitive, and thus perhaps they're taking slightly fewer things into account. But there is no school that I am aware of where they're just looking at your LSAT and your GPA and calling it a day and moving on from there. Everybody is interested to some degree or another in who you are as a candidate. So that leads me to 2 points. One, don't sweat the small stuff, as they say. So if I'm doing an episode and I'm telling you about a candidate who something happens to them and they have a 170 LSAT or they had a 3.7 GPA, and you don't need to write and be like, I had a 3.69 GPA. Is this still true for me? Or I had a 169.5 LSAT. There's no such score, but is this still true for me? The fact is, I'm not talking. Almost never am I talking about like one specific tiny detail that way as being make or break. And along the same lines, we get many questions from people who say, I have this, bad aspect to my application that is immutable. Like, I graduated from college 5 years ago and my GPA is what it is. What can I do? When there's something that is in your imperfect about your application or your background, we all have that, right? Everybody has things that are less than perfect. There's nothing you can do to change those things. What you can do is make the whole rest of your application excellent, right? So that is what I'm going to try and be concentrating on in giving you advice, is telling you how to make everything else sing, if you will. And so you don't have to worry so much about the part that you can't change, that you don't think really reflects who you are as a candidate. All right? Okay. I hope you are going to enjoy this journey. I'm excited to go on it with you. Meanwhile, I want to give you a little taste of things to come. We're going to be doing grammar again because you nerds like that a lot. I'm a nerd. I love it too. I'm going to start with a law piece of grammar. To wit, verb to plead, like I am pleading guilty. If I did it in the past, do I say I pleaded guilty or do I say I pled guilty? Trick question. Either is actually fine. However, I strongly prefer pleaded. I just think it's sort of classic. It's clean. It's what the people like me who are 100,000 years old and really care about grammar and are lawyers, we tend to like pleaded more than pled. Pled is not wrong. However, if you're going to say pled, leave out the A. It's not like read in the past tense, read, where they're the same spelling. Plead, the past tense is pled, P-L-E-D, just 4 letters. Leave out that A. All right? Or if you don't want to remember that, just stick with pleaded. Be like me. Okay. All right. Hope that is useful. So thank you to Dustin, as always, for doing this for me, because I would not do it without Dustin. Please tell us what we could do to be useful. Send us emails to law.jd.admissions@umich.edu, or put your questions in the comments below, whatever you're watching this on. I think that's everything except for this. Wherever you go, go blue.